I gotta say, I love L.
Yeah?
I love him. I don't know him. I don't know him very well at all.
What is it about him? I
just don't like Light. I don't know. Because I don't agree with Light. I mean, like, in some sense, I agree, like, that bad people deserve to be punished, but I also don't believe in killing other people. So I'm much more inclined to go in support of the person who tries to justly and morally take care of bad people, and that murder is murder, no matter who it is that was killed.
Yeah.
And I think I align more with his thought process.
I agree with you. And
I just think Light is just kind of, I don't know, he rubs me the wrong way because of his, like, superiority complex. But they did say that L has arrogance as well. Like, the police were saying that. So maybe they're, like, super alike. Their only difference at the moment, they're both smart. They're both, like, meticulous. They're both methodical. Their only difference seems to be neither of them want to be known as who they are. They are a separate entity from themselves. But it seems their only difference is their idea of what is justice. Both of them said at the end, I am justice. Whew!
All right.
Now for the discussion. Okay, so I basically said my whole everything I was thinking and feeling right after the episode ended. I did not wait for the discussion portion of this video.
Just too into it.
I was way too excited. So I'm just gonna leave my thoughts with, now I don't remember. It left my head because I didn't get to say it in time.
Did you want to restart then?
Yeah, I'm just gotta think of what I was gonna say. I don't know if I can think of it.
It's okay. If it comes to you, it comes to you.
Them being justice. And that was it.
Them both having, like, they're very similar, but them having...
Oh! I know what I was gonna say.
Okay, do you want to restart then?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? All right. That was episode 2 of Death Note. Anna?
So I basically did my spiel of my thoughts and feelings right after the episode ended. I was too excited to wait for the portion of the video where we discuss. So I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I was so excited.
I'm so excited. I'm into it.
So I'm just going to say one last thing before Ben takes over his thoughts, feelings, theories, ideas over episode 2. I was kind of into the show after the first episode, but this ending of episode 2, I'm like, I need to see the next one. Like, this one got it for me.
I agree with you.
Like, this created that need to see what happens next. Episode 1 was, like, great. It was set up the story. It was interesting, you know, but this was like, oh my God, Challenger is up next. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to say, is this episode got me hooked.
Episode 1, and then most of this episode was like really setting up all the pieces, and then they just gave it to us. And now it's like we have to see where everything goes, where everybody decides to run. We have to see the stage is set, dude. I agree with you. I was really into the show after episode 1. But after episode 2, now I have that, like, need inside me that I could not go on not watching this show. Like, I need to have a resolution. I need to see what happens. All right. So, the ICPO, the Interpol agency, that I believe is, like, officials from every country in the world, or at least a lot of major...
Police departments.
Yeah. Who came together and they decided to give full authority to L, who is not Lind L. Taylor. Lind L. Taylor was a criminal who was arrested secretly and was going to be sentenced to death the next day.
No, I think it was that day.
That day? And so that was nuts. That was insane that L thought, like, that far ahead to even find somebody who had, like, a similar name. He kind of seemed like he tricked some of the officers at that point. Like, oh my God, he's showing his face. So it didn't even seem like some of the officers knew what his plan was.
I feel like Mustache was the only one who, or maybe Mustache's like sidekick dude, were the only ones that knew, which, I mean, they arrested him in secret.
Yeah.
They had to protect the fact that this wasn't actually L, especially if they were only in the Kanto region.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to make sure that whoever was killing had no way of knowing.
You know what? I can only see one connection to L as of right now to maybe see how we could figure out who he is from Light's point of view. Watari, I think his name was, the man who came on stage as L's representative.
The one with the hat and the long jacket?
Yeah. He is the only connection I can see to L at the moment. Like, that doesn't just... Like, I mean, where do you go from here if you're Light? Like, how do you just Google L and try to find breadcrumbs of his existence? It's crazy.
You'd have to track where that broadcast came from, but then how are you gonna get a hold of, like, the records in the computers for broadcasting?
Yeah.
He would have to, like, work for the broadcasters or something to figure it out, or he would have to get in touch with the police and somehow find the guy in the hat with the trench coat.
So how did he narrow it down? I understand that he narrowed it down to Kanto by the motorcycle death and how that was the only one that wasn't a heart attack. How? No?
I thought that they showed the picture of where the hostages were. And he said that he noticed that the first criminal to die was a lesser criminal that had only been reported in that area of Japan.
That makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
I don't think the guy knows about the motorcycle guy or connected it. Because it was accidental death.
Yeah.
He literally drove away on a bike and got hit by a truck.
Okay. I thought that that's how we, like, narrowed it down to Kanto especially. But we met a character, Seiyu?
Seiyu?
Yeah.
His little sister,
probably? I believe, yeah. That would make the most sense. And we learned an important rule that if somebody else touches the Death Note, they are able to see Ryuk. And that freaks me out because I don't know what other rules Ryuk hasn't told Light, you know?
There's definitely other stuff he hasn't told him just to keep things interesting. Because the whole reason he did this was to have fun and not be bored anymore. So he needs to keep things a little spicy. Yeah.
It was cool because they, like, showed a bit of L and Light's intelligence in different ways this episode. Like, Light had that whole scene of how he's deciding to hide the Death Note. And we were like, oh my god. And then by the end of the episode, where L just completely got Light, you know? He won that first battle. Like, that was so cool.
You know... Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
Did you notice how when he found out about other people touching the book, it's like he started in this innocent, like, worried about his family way. And then as he started to build this plan of how to protect it, it turned into, I don't want anyone ever to find out about it or find out it was connected to me. When it started like, oh, I want to keep people I love from touching it or becoming a part of this life I've now sentenced myself to.
Going off of what you just said, right before we saw Seiyu, if that's how you pronounce your name, that was a perfect example of it. He had this plan set forward and how, like, he has to sacrifice, like, a social life. He's going to keep a very strict schedule to make sure he has enough sleep to stay on top of things. And then all of his plans just fell to the ground when his presumably sister came in and asked for help. Obviously, there's some sort of emotion there, and obviously that takes precedent over everything else at the moment. If and when a choice like that comes into play later in the series, I am super interested to see what happens. If L does find out who Light's family is or who he is, he could, like, the leveraging situation could be insane.
It seems like even though he's being taken by greed and wanting to rid the world of the rotten people, he's as connected to the fact that he doesn't want to write anyone's name that he knows. I think it's definitely played up by how he seemed to have love for his family. He wants to protect them. He wants to make sure they never get wrapped up in this. And then he was so willing to tutor his sister, we're presuming. And he seems to be fairly nice and polite to his mom. It seems like they have good relationships.
There's going to be they have introduced so many different themes and ideas and different ways that they could go with this show in the first 2 episodes. It is honestly so impressive. The first episode, I felt like I was so caught up with the introduction of the story and the rules I thought were great, and especially the visuals. But this episode, they really went hard with the story, and I'm falling for it. I want to see what happens. Kira.
Who do you want to win, Kira or Light? In Light versus Kira.
It depends. In a story way, I don't know. I guess both ways I want Light to win. Because I do want to see L to win. Okay. I'm so sorry. I want L to win. Because
Disclaimer, I want L to win.
Because I want to see what happens to Light after he dies.
Yes. But also think about how freaking compelling it is to watch a show where the possibly morally corrupt person that's harder to get behind is the protagonist or the main character.
And we didn't spend enough time with Light. We just an episode really that so we're not, our stakes aren't fully in him. And it's not like he has we mentioned Kurapika last episode. He has the sense of justice, and we know that even though it's not right to kill people, we can love that character as a protagonist and understand his reasoning. We can very easily see where, how Light could be headed down a horribly dark road. Very easily. It's so compelling.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you pick up that book and you write in it, and it means you can never go to heaven or hell, you've basically already set the tone for your whole life. You have no consequences because you've already gone over the edge. You can't go back. So I feel like that power and that lack of consequences is just gonna... His family, they're probably his only consequences at the moment that he has is their protection.
He obviously doesn't care as much about his own life.
He doesn't want to die because he wants to keep making the world ideal to him.
For his own sake of justice, but
he wants to leave it behind ideal for other people. He's not just doing this for himself. He's doing this for the greater good, for everyone, for his family, for everyone he knows.
Kira, that's what he's going by.
Yeah. I like that they gave him a name, his supporters.
For killer. Obviously the general populace, there's a negative connotation with the word killer, at least in the English language, I think. So I'm interested. That's pretty cool. I like that that's the name they gave him too.
And the anonymity being what brings it out in people, that they're suddenly willing to think about things they're taught in, say, school or by their parents, maybe not being, just being something like an appearance. Yes, I have to think this or believe this on the surface.
Yeah.
Everyone, as far as everyone else knows, this is how I feel. And then they show it to you with a teen girl on her cell phone.
Yeah.
I love that they picked someone that supposedly looks so innocent.
It helped get the point across so well.
That
it really
did. Everyone, or possibly lots of people deep down, don't have the same strictness with morality or the same kind of black and white.
Everyone has their appearance in public. Mm-hmm. But in your head, that's a different story of what is right and wrong.
We all have our own morality, and then there's society's morality.
Yeah. And what you have, your feeling of what you have to do or say to fit into that. Question. Can Ryuk, if he wishes, have any physical effect on the world? If he wanted to, could he touch somebody? He's eaten apples. Are those apples gone? If you saw Ryuk pick up an apple and eat it, and you have not touched the Death Note, does it look like it's just an apple floating and then it disappears? That means that he can touch things in the real world.
I'm gonna throw out the theory that Ryuk has a boss, and that he has rules that he has to follow. He can't physically do anything to a human in the world, but he can write their name in the Death Note. Maybe the Death Note is a barrier between him and the human world, and it's a rule for him that he can't go past that.
Yeah. I only have two more small things. Okay. Kanto region Pokemon joke. Right.
Every time I hear Kanto or something,
I'm sure
I
that
just
it's just
think
a
of
real
Pokemon.
region too.
It is.
But
I'm
Pokemon
pretty sure.
has completely.
We've never
killed me
been to
there.
Japan.
We'd love to.
We'd love to go.
Man, the last thing I guess is I love the actual. It's not just blank versus blank. It's not just L versus light. It's two ideas of justice against each other. That is so compelling. And
I feel like real people, real day to day, I think there's a lot of people who would side with either.
I mean, it's politics. It's like a debate, like
death penalty.
Yeah, I mean, like it's two people who truly believe in their idea, and their own ego and self-assuredness is only propelling that belief more and making it stronger, strong enough to seek out other individuals who oppose it. It is so compelling. I threw my pen down. Made a noise. I'm sorry. I'm very excited to keep watching.
Me too.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next time for episode 3 of Death Note. Please subscribe if you haven't. If you have, thank you so much. And like the video too if you can. It helps the algorithm and stuff. But yeah, see you next time.
You've basically already set the tone for your whole life. You've basically already set the tone for your whole life. You've basically already set the tone for your whole life.
You've basically already set the tone for your whole life.